welcome back to Pictures of Horror 2, aka Redux Reviews. And I'm the Cinema Style.
And I'm the Silver Screen Slasher. Now, if I was to ask you, say, if you were a movie director, and you created, it was by far one of the most iconic and memorable movies of all time, my big question is, how the hell would you follow it up? With a batshit-insane sequel, that is. More specifically, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, released in 1986.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, unlike the original, and, of course, amazing classic film, horror / gore fest / work of art that it is, this one, so I just mentioned as well, is nothing but wacky and over-the-top craziness, and you know what? For that, some people even hate this film for that. I'm not kidding. Some people even hate this film, and some people actually love it. But at least to me right now, and I'm going to give you my quick honest thoughts right now, but to me, I don't really love it, but I don't really hate it either. There's just some moments in it where I will admit, find a bit of enjoyment out of it. But then there are some moments I'm a bit like, or I at times even think it's just so weird in general.
I, on the other hand, am the exact opposite. I think this film is one crazy train ride, and I am all the way with it. Much like the first film, this one was directed once again by Tobe Hooper, who, believe it or not, the studio that was involved with this film, the Cannon Group, and did mention, they basically said that they were going to make a Texas Chainsaw sequel with or without him. So he decided to go with, and probably create one of the most insane movies of all time, and I love it for that fact.
But then I heard rumors that he actually stepped out of the director's chair, though, for this one.
Actually, no, he didn't. Mainly because one of the other companies involved with this movie was Golden Globus, known for creating plenty of schlocky films in their time. And ironically, 1 year later, they would make Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh. Anyway, now to the film's plot. The plot of this film starts off with these two idiots, to me, in my opinion, just shooting at street signs and just the air itself. But later on, and as this is going on, we get introduced to one of the few main characters of the film, Stretch, a radio broadcaster who is a she, by the way. But, as this is going on, later on, she hears these two idiots get killed by, you guessed it, Leatherface himself. And for some reason, that Leatherface disguised as a dead corpse. For a guy who wears a mask and, someone who barely recognizes him, first off, I find that a bit pointless, but maybe he just wanted to make a surprise entrance.
Fun fact, the corpse that was strapped to Leatherface was actually that of his brother, Nubbins the Hitchhiker from the first movie, in case anyone didn't realize it. Also...
Oh, I actually did that too. It's pretty surprising, actually.
Also, after our two yuppies is crash off the bridge, we are then introduced to, by far...
And yes, the two idiots, by the way, killed by Leatherface.
It is then
and the radio broadcaster hears it, obviously.
It's at this point we're introduced to the craziest person in the entire movie. Dennis Hopper as Texas Ranger Lefty Enright, who is apparently the uncle of Sally Hardesty and her brother Franklin from the first film. And in case you're wondering exactly how this film ties into this movie takes place 13 years after the events of the first film. So this was said, and so, yeah, weird timeline and all.
Not only that, of course, Stretch and Dennis Hopper's character join up with each other, and he hears the recording or the tape, and so that's pretty much it. And then they pretty much shine on finding out who these killers are. Later on, we are also introduced to now. Yeah. Anyway, next let's talk about the character. The only original cast member from the original film returning for the sequel, because of course the hitchhiker died, and Leatherface will get to that part of it later on. But is the cook, played by Jim Seadow. That's right. The cook from the original movie is back for the sequel.
However, he is given a name this time.
most of this film where it's very over the top, fighting craziness. It's for what? He's actually one of the few characters I think, of course, is crazy, but in a good way, and at times still does his performance pretty much the same way that we loved him in the original. So I'm glad about that.
What's even more interesting is that this time he's actually given a name in this movie, Drayton Sawyer. Hence naming our cannibal family as the Sawyers, which also gives us another member to this family. And at first I thought that Hopper was a crazy one here, but he is nothing compared to, by far, my favorite Sawyer family member in this entire franchise. Motherfucking Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley. I mean, this guy is by far the craziest thing I've seen in any movie.
Yeah, by the way, Chop, by the way, he is very crazy and messed up dude. And what's so memorable about him as well, and why I like him too, is that just the way he looks. To me, I think he has a cool look, with even that little metal plate in his head that he keeps picking at with some type of silvery hook thingy or whatever. But even just seeing him do it, every time I see him do it, I'm just like, when I watched the film, I was like, ugh.
The main reason for Chop Top
last but not least is Leatherface himself. This time around, though, he is actually played by a guy named Bill Johnson. That's right, not the original guy, Gunnar Hansen.
The reason for Gunnar Hansen not reprising the role of Leatherface is because the studios apparently had a bit of an argument over his pay, so he was out.
Oh, unfortunately. Well, at least we got to see him for a quick bit in Texas Chainsaw 3D, just saying.
Still not a good sequel, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to quickly mention, the effects in this movie were done by good old horror makeup artist and legend, Tom Savini. That's right, the same guy who would do the makeup for the original Friday the 13th and the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
Yep. Gordani himself basically created all the blood and guts for Texas Chainsaw 2. And ironically, that's what got it in trouble with the MPAA when it first came out. Since originally this film was given the dreaded X rating several times before it was cut down for an R rating.
Next thing I want to get to is now just the absolute craziness in general, I think. First, no offense, and I still know by the looks of things still has quite a soft spot for this film, but I kind of lean to more, just a little bit towards the hate side. And I'll tell you why, because the performance is like the acting and just the things that just happen in general are just so weird, wacky in general, or even just so stupidly over the top. Like, for example, one example I want to make, of course, the scene where we first see Chop Top. Later on, when Leatherface also barges in, right? That's when, for example, at least in that scene, really gets crazy. Because, first off, Stretch is screaming, like, so over the top and so ridiculously, and most of the time unnecessary. Like, she's seen Leatherface now for quite a few minutes, and she's still screaming because all he's literally doing is just using his chainsaw and cutting up parts of ice cubes right in front of her. And I'm like, okay, you've seen him for a while. He's not really that scary. He's just more of a goofball. But not only that, he swings around his hips or whatever, and his body like a complete idiot, like he's dancing or whatever. And I just think it looks ridiculous. Like, in the original Leatherface, what made it work for me is that he didn't speak, of course, but not only that, the actions and the way he would think were very crazy. Like, he was almost like a scared animal, afraid of the outside world. But yet, he was still, like, anyway, very unstable and everything, and not able to look like he was able to make up his mind. In this one, he's just a complete jack. Like, he's just so ridiculous. I'm just saying.
You did bring up an interesting little thing, though. The scene where Leatherface is cutting up all that ice. That does lead to one of the more unique scenes of the film. Basically, Leatherface is given a romantic interest in this film, and is none other than Stretch.
I was about to mention that as well.
Yeah, apparently Leatherface has a sort of crush on her, and even sticks the tip of his chainsaw right at the of her pants, which, when I first saw it, even I had to scratch my head and go, what the heck was that?
When I saw that, I was like, just too bit. I think that's actually one part of the film that I really wish they cut out. Honestly, that was I know still he loves her and everything, but that is a bit too inappropriate, I think, to show. But anyway, next silly moment I want to get is when, the two idiots are shooting, the air and traffic signs in general. The other reason why I find that scene so stupid, too, is that I've seen them get pulled over by the cops for the amount of shooting and how dangerous they were just in general doing that. Second, I'm surprised they didn't even end up in jail already when they started doing that. Like, seriously, like, they're on the road for crying out loud. How could someone not possibly see them and go, like, hey, cops, there are a few madmen in there. Do you want to go and talk to them? Like, seriously, I'm surprised they didn't even get pulled over by the cops.
Well, you have to remember, this movie has its own little sense of craziness. Basically, it's if you take one part of the first film and add a touch of Clockwork Orange madness to it. It's a very weird concoction.
Still awful. Anyway, let's get to the next silly moment. Is when Dan enters in a chainsaw shop and he starts fiddling them around like they're toys. And second, what I find so ridiculous about this scene is that he's cutting up a log like a madman with his like big and main chainsaw. And Butler's open the corner and looks at him. He comes at him like, what is that guy doing? And then later on, we think that people log like a madman. The shopkeeper starts laughing for some reason. I'm like absolute crazy. And I'm like, what?
Well, you have to remember,
It's so weird and so random.
But you have to remember, his nephew was killed by Leatherface, and it's taken him 12 years to get, 13 years for him to exact his revenge.
Oh, not only that, I almost forgot that you kind of glitched out a bit earlier ago. The thing you were saying about previously?
You know, it just slipped my mind. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come to me another time.
Oh, anyway, as far as I'm concerned, wait, one more quick thing I want to mention. The poster for this film is, just I guess another quick side note, is a reference, and I get a little bit of a of the poster for Breakfast Club. I'm not kidding.
You kidding me? That poster's a freaking parody of the Breakfast Club poster.
Yeah. Anyway, still my last final thoughts on the film is that, don't get me wrong, it definitely has, I will say there's some great effects, and not really, the film did not until any ends, but it's still, a great effects, as I said before. And, I do love, I think he's one of the best characters in it. And of course, the cool action sequence, by the way, I'm not going to still say how it goes, but, the cool fight scene with Leatherface and Dennis Hopper is pretty cool. But other than that, this film to me is just a bunch of wackiness and craziness, just so not done in a really great and proper way. And at times, I think even the actors are a bit too much, and I felt like still they could have told the sequel to one of the most iconic and horrifying horror films of all time in a much better way than this. Like, I felt like they could have come up possibly with a better story. But other than that, this film to me, I thought was alright, but not very great. So I'm going to give it a total of 5 out of 10.
And this is where I'm the exact opposite. I love horror movies that go balls to the walls of that bunker. This is craziness. Hell, one of my favorite dark horror movies, well, in terms of dark comedies, is Return of the Living Dead. It's dark as fuck, has a twisted sense of humor, and just doesn't stop all the way. Let's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It's wild and colorful, and a lot of crazy and gory kills, and not to mention it has a bitchin' soundtrack, especially in the song "No One Lives Forever" by Oingo Boingo, which I still listen to while watching this movie to this day. But all in all, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, my kid, let's face it, everyone who saw this movie knew that they were never going to make a proper sequel to the original. But that being said, I give Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 an 8.5 out of 10.
I'm Nat. That was our review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. And remember, folks, the Saw is family.